Hey there, welcome. And I want to talk about something that's very, very in the public eye right now. And it's the case of Myka Stauffer, the social media influencer who has, well, created a firestorm by saying that she rehomed her 4-year-old adopted son. She adopted the little boy 2 years ago from China. And he was no longer appearing in videos or on her Instagram, and fans were asking, they were concerned, where was he? The little boy's name is Huxley. And so she addressed the issue a week ago. And I will tell you, at the time, we were going somewhere in the car. My daughter called and she started to tell us all about this. I had never heard of this vlogger previously. So I didn't have any idea of who she was. And the way my daughter explained it, she didn't really mention a husband or other children. So I was thinking that she was a single woman or, married and didn't have any other children. So my daughter kept saying she wanted a special needs child. She wanted a special needs child, and that she was a nurse. And then she decided it was more than she could handle. So she rehomed him. At the time, there was a case we were covering about a woman in her 40s who not once but twice tried to drown her autistic child. And she was successful the second time. And the child, of course, died. And it was a horrible thing. And throughout this pandemic, with people being in quarantine, what we've seen is that so many children are being abused or killed. And I think when the pandemic is totally over and kids have to return back to school to be accounted for, we're going to find out those numbers are far greater. And that's something I really hope I'm wrong about. But so when my daughter was telling me this, I thought, well, wow, if she really could not handle this child and she was having a nervous breakdown and she was going to hurt this child, then the child is better off being removed from her care rather than stay there and have something devastating happen. Since that time, yesterday, I started to do some research on the case and I found out she is a social media influencer and she's a member of what I term the white couch bloggers. And that is my own term. I've coined that, I think, about a year and a half, 2 years ago. So people say, well, what are white couch bloggers? White couch bloggers are the social media influencers, vloggers, bloggers, because some of them are bloggers, some of them are vloggers, some of them are both. Some of them are just on Instagram, but it encompasses all of them that fall into there. And most of these white couch bloggers, they're married. They have multiple children, very close in age. There are children, every time you see them, it's an optimal photo shoot, video shoot. They are dressed impeccably. The mothers, lots of hair extensions, usually blonde hair. Occasionally you'll see some brunettes in there, but they are mostly blonde, even if it's not natural. Lots of hair extensions, very, very long hair. This is usual, okay? The husbands are usually highly engaged, highly involved. They've either left their jobs and do YouTube, entirely with their spouse, for that's their only source of income. And they're very, very invested in it, obviously. Their homes are very large. They are decorated like model homes. There is nothing out of place. There is no clutter. There is nothing out of place. They make numerous videos about cleaning a filthy house. The house is never filthy. It is like, and this is long before this Myka said that these white couch bloggers, it's like a Stepford community. And what I thought is perhaps they were going into a model home, but perhaps even more than that, maybe they with the money they're making. Some of them are making an enormous amount of money, okay, enormous amount, purchased a home that they use as their set. And this home is one that they can go in and do their Christmas decorating and their baking and, you know, their filthy house cleaning, which is absolutely ridiculous. And I'll talk to you about, like, and I have in the past told you about real life vloggers that really show you cleaning, and their houses are not perfect and they're really trying very hard. And I'll watch those any day over something like this, because they're vacuuming already vacuumed floors and they go through this whole ritual, and it's ridiculous. And they put things in their thumbnail like filthy, absolutely filthy. And what they've done is, imagine you're in a model home and someone said, could you make this look a little dirty? So what would you do? You'll put a spoon and a cup on the counter. You might even spill a little something, throw a little flour on the floor, you know, if they even go that far. A couple of toys out of the toy box, a couple of throw pillows on the floor, and that's considered filthy. So I've said, maybe, can you imagine if there was like a whole block of these homes, and then all these white couch bloggers went to work in those homes every day and then closed up at night and went home to their regular home. There is the in-betweens before you get to the normal. So the in-betweens will show a little more, like one was showing she did have her kids in tow, and at one point they knocked over the camera. I think they actually broke one of her cameras. And then there are the wannabes in the white couch bloggers, and they will never be, but they want to be so badly. And they want to be to the extreme that, you know, they will never come on camera in the same outfit. But their family just doesn't fit that image. And it's a shame to say, it's because it can be because they're not the right body type. They don't have the right family type. Their husbands aren't the right type. Their children don't fall in the right type. And their home is not the right type, and their furnishings are not the right type, but they try so hard to be in it. I remember this one woman, and she was not the right type. She would never be accepted in the white couch bloggers. And she was saying how she had to have all these different outfit changes to make you think she was filming on different days. And I was just looking at her and thinking, like, does it really matter? Why are you doing this? The people that are watching you are watching you. They're not watching you for your shirt or for, you're not a white couch blogger. Don't try to be one. Embrace what you are because you're real. Well, but you're trying, but now you're adding all this that, well, you just want to be this white couch blogger that you'll never be. Anyway, you know, I don't know. She was just, and then she would go ahead and tell people that. Well, first of all, you're a white couch blogger. You don't tell people that. There's a white couch Instagrammer, and she's also a vlogger and a blogger. And you can see that she does photos, well, appears to me, all in one day that she'll use the entire month long. So everything will be perfect. The kids will be dressed, and there may be multiple outfit changes, but she's not going to come and say that. So that's what this other one didn't know. But anyway, Myka is definitely a white couch vlogger. And apparently, I don't know the exact number. I've heard 10,000 subscribers. But when she announced the adoption of a little boy from China, the number of subscribers flew. I mean, it just right up. Right now, she has a little over 700,000 subscribers. She lost, I don't know, 14,000 or so, which is really not that much when you have 700,000. But there are probably a lot of subscribers who's, you know, who have lost all, she's lost all credibility with because of this, but they're hanging on because they want to be notified if she posts anything. And there's probably a lot that have just subscribed in order, you know, again, to be notified. So what happened was she adopted this little boy. And before she adopted him, she made many, many videos about him. And her subscribers skyrocketed. And these videos about him received many, many views. In fact, there's something along the lines that I believe she said one of the videos about this little boy Huxley that they adopted, the income on that one video was over $40,000. Now, beyond the channel, she had several channels. She has a Myka Stauffer channel. She had a Stauffer family channel, which all content has been privatized. So there's no video showing on that, but it has over 300,000 subscribers. Her husband has a channel called Stauffer Garage, which has, I believe that's over 1 million subscribers. And then there's another channel, which is a channel that is trying to teach people how to make money very quickly. It's cash something. Beyond that, I think there may even be a couple of smaller channels. So they're making a very, very good income. Besides just the Google ad revenue, they had different sponsorships with different companies. Now, any influencer, myself included, I've worked with numerous companies, sometimes with networks, and they'll give you an assignment and you do it. And then you are sometimes you become a brand ambassador of that brand. And in doing so, you have to sign a contract and, represent that brand the way they wanted it represented. And she was doing that on a larger scale. So she was working with companies like Fabletics and Playtex Baby, and they've pulled their sponsorships with her. Kate Hudson has said they're no longer working with her. Playtex Baby said they will not work with her. They're not working with her now. They have no plans to in the future. Mattel and Barbie said they're not working with her now. They have no plans to in the future. I know there were several other companies that had been working with her. Now, okay, so what happened, right? She claims that this little boy, they asked for a special needs child. And somewhere along the line in some of the videos prior to his adoption or leading to his adoption, she says that some doctors told her, maybe you shouldn't be adopting this child, blah, 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 blah. She says it went in one ear, out the other. And yet now when she says what happened, she's saying that a doctor said that this is what they should do, is give up the child. And she's come under extreme fire for it. There are videos that she's privatizing or deleting. And she has deleted photos of Huxley from her Instagram and social media accounts. She's changed her social media accounts from Mother of 5 to Mother of 4, or Mama 5, whatever, however she had it. But it's changed from 5 to 4, and came out with this video. She's received a lot of backlash on it. Again, like I said in the beginning, if harm was going to come to that child, I think we all can agree the child was better off being removed than being harmed in the house. There are pictures that I have seen, and I am going to do a deep dive on this because this is not the only case of this, but this is probably one of the most followed or popular cases, if you will, but this is not the only case of this. There are adoption disruptions and dissolved adoptions, which they're dissolved after they become, legit, permanent. When you're in the process, it's a disruption. And I can tell you another, which was a high profile case, maybe you don't know about it, back in 2009. And I followed that one very closely. And another one around that time, maybe it was a couple of years later. I have also know a lot about Chinese adoption because I had considered it myself. So, and I have friends, very good friends, that have been through the process, and I know how hard it is to adopt from China. In fact, they will not allow adoptions for things as simple as someone that's taken an antidepressant, someone whose body mass index is too high, someone who the age difference between the husband and the wife is too high, someone who's too young. You know, I mean, there's lots and lots of regulations. Now they're saying, well, with special needs, it lightens it up a little bit. But still, they had a son that is the same age as Huxley. Now I understand, you know, the son was not an infant, and that this was a special needs child, but it just seems strange. Anyway, what they did is they had funding for this adoption from their viewers, and they had this puzzle. And you will see a picture, you know, at the end of Huxley's face. If everybody buys a puzzle piece, and the puzzle pieces cost $5. And so that went to fund their adoption. And then, of course, you know, there were other means of funding the adoption through viewers, through sponsorships, things like that, and help us bring home our son kind of thing. So they were doing all of that. She mentions that there were things right away when she was holding him that he wouldn't let her him hold her, like he was flailing around, he would bang his head into the wall. Again, they decided to go through with it. They brought the whole family there to China, okay? So it wasn't even bonding with just them. They didn't even give him that little bit of alone time with just them. They brought everybody over. And of course, everything was vlogged. And then they went home. And she, you know, got him some services, learned how to sign. But there were some like really troubling videos. Their son, I believe his name is Radley. And he had some kind of Lego truck that he built, I think, with his father. And remember that little Huxley is around the same age. He had the little truck. She said, oh, do you think he wants you playing with that? And then she calls her son in the other room. Is he allowed to play with this? No. Can you bring him something he can play with? And he brings him a Scooby-Doo, that Scooby-Doo van. It just seemed a little bit, I don't know, there was some favoritism. There's also another one where she says that I saw, I'm going out for the first time as a mother of 5 because she had another baby actually a year ago this month, and she was taking him out. They were going to farmer's market, and she says, you know, Huxley's playing with his Power Wheels in the yard, and then you see the other kids at the farmer's market, but you don't see Huxley. So where is she at? You know, apparently he was in therapy. I don't know. So yeah, and then right away she starts talking about, you know, she can have another baby, and everything seems that they were studying algorithms as to what will get the most views, clicks. So there's a lot of pregnancy thumbnails. In fact, someone said that she even hinted at like a miscarriage that was not even the case in order to get like clicks on a pregnancy video. And the Huxley videos were really, really fueling their income, okay, and grew their audience. So now, as Huxley became less and less a part of those, people wondered where he was. So she makes this video that, you know, it was just too much. And she doesn't really say a lot in this video about what was too much, okay? There's also talk that that he had a brain tumor, and that perhaps she thought he was going to succumb to that brain tumor, and that would have created even more sympathy and views and clicks and subs. And when that didn't happen, then it became a big deal. Well, I can tell you just from my own observations, these white couch bloggers run their lives in front of the camera. Now, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, right? Nobody does. Like a business, okay? Everything is very regimented. There's a photo shoot. There's this. We're baking Christmas cookies today, and we're going to do this, and everyone's going to smile. And I don't know how they do it, because my kids, they dread it. You know, the family photo shoot. They dreaded all that stuff, and it was like pulling teeth. But this is how it is all the time, and everybody will wear the matching apron, and everybody will have the little chef's hat on, and they'll all be perfectly dressed. Everyone's face will be clean, and they will go through this thing, and nobody will get upset, and nobody will have a fit or anything. But apparently Huxley didn't get that memo, and so he was having fits, and maybe he was hitting or biting or acting out. She won't say what it is. They won't. The husband just sits there and nods his head and agrees. And it's driving me nuts because he reminds me of someone, but I have to figure it out. So she doesn't want to say what it is because of the privacy of Huxley's privacy. But is that really the reason? You know, is it really the reason? I don't think so. Could it be that the reason is something that they could have taken care of? Is the reason that, look, this just is not working out. We want to keep moving forward with this business, and this child is not going to fit in that, right? I don't know. The other thing is, what about, you know, like I said, I'm going to go in and tell you about a couple of other cases like this where this has happened. You might not know them. You might know them. Again, this is something I've always been interested in. I've studied disruption in adoptions probably way back when, as early as way back when I was looking at and researching the Chinese adoption, international adoption. In fact, I even did some volunteer work for an international adoption agency and tried to get like sponsorship and stuff for adoption. So that was way, way back. My gosh, that was in like the late 1990s, mid to late 1990s. So it's been a long time that I've looked into this. Now, I'm also going to tell you about another blogger who had no other children and adopted 2 children from Russia. And the little boy had fetal alcohol syndrome. In fact, they went there to look at another little boy, I believe, and they were told not to adopt that other little boy. And they were led to this little boy and a little girl, and the little boy had severe problems. And this mother created a blog, and the blog was called When Rain Hurts. And she actually, documents everything in there. If you're looking to see, a real hardship and what's going on, but she didn't give him up. And there were some really, horrible things that happened in there, but she brought him, he went to a therapeutic home and she would visit him. And I think it was called Green Chimneys, and it was in state of New York. So I don't know what's happened in the last few years with that, but yeah, he was not just given up. But I am going to tell you about another 2 cases where the child was relinquished. And I think one of them would have been dissolved, and one would be considered disrupted. And I'm sure there is like in older child adoptions, I think be around, might be 25% that might be disrupted. There are children that have things like fetal alcohol syndrome or, attachment disorders. And yes, I've heard of it. Some countries have it worse than others, but there's another child from China that I remember researching that case about. That was a little girl. I think the adoption for her was dissolved at, might even been 8 or 11. But I'm going to look into those just so you know that this is not the only case. But this is the case that's, the parents are speaking out in video, and they were social media influencers. They are social media influencers. So that's what's right now in the public eye, and it's being talked about everywhere. So I want to go in into this and then look at what's happened in the past. Now, another area I want to explore too, and I have in other, with other groups and things or just friends, there was an article, I believe it was in Parents Magazine, probably in the early 90s, where a mother had a daughter and then she gave birth to a little boy. The little boy had Down syndrome. And so she brought him home from the hospital, but decided she couldn't do it. She couldn't raise him. And she adopted him out. And there was, controversy about that. So I'd like to take a look, because I do have a very natural interest in adoption and the disruptions and the dissolved adoptions and everything. So I want to take a closer look into that. And I'm sorry if the format of this video is like kind of strange, because I'm just trying to do it live from Zoom, but private. And I know that I don't know where the camera is. It's raining outside and it's just crazy. And I just want to get this out there. And I wanted to add some things, but into it. So there are some pictures and things I'll be putting up, but I just wanted to get it out there because we started to talk about it a little bit last night and I saw that there was a lot of interest in it. So did Huxley pay the price because he didn't fit into this cookie cutter perfect home? Right off the bat, you can see that there is a lot of emphasis put on appearances. I have not seen a video of hers where she is wearing full makeup and the hair extensions or whatever you want to call it. Everything is perfect. There's a lot of white, as I said. Even in their bedrooms, it's white, white, white. I don't know what it is with these white couch bloggers. The last thing I would ever dream of doing is getting white everything when you have children. So give me the brown couch. So yeah, give me the carpeting that doesn't show dirt. Get me the flooring that doesn't show dirt. It's everything is white, 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 white. So yeah, not having that. I don't know what the draw is. So I'd like to meet more of the brown couch bloggers. I have met brown couch bloggers and they're so friendly and so laid back and they don't care if your makeup's not perfect or your house is not perfect, or your family's not perfect. And you don't have to put on all these freaking appearances. And that's what I think these things are, these filthy house cleanings that aren't, you guys are a bunch of fakes. But anyway, okay, sorry. But why say your house is filthy when you've just intentionally made it dirty and it's not filthy or dirty? Are viewers really that fooled by that? Do they really think that's a filthy house? Maybe for a white couch blogger, that's a filthy house. It's so obviously staged. I'd rather watch a real person cleaning a real mess, even if they don't get it perfect or their furniture is not perfect. Like I said, that other woman that I watched, it was so good to see, and to see the frustration as she went through. And it took, because it was real. It was real. And I'll watch that anytime over a white couch blogger that's, to me, fake. It's very, very fake. Okay. And they seem to have everything. Like they go on these perfect vacations. In fact, they said that she was in Bali with the whole family. Okay. After rehoming, and that's another issue. Huxley said she used the word rehome. Now that's either been edited out of a video or something, and even like People Magazine is putting corrections that the Stauffers did not use the word rehome. I have to research that. Or if yesterday I asked, people said no, she definitely said it herself. I didn't hear it. I have to research it, but I know that some magazines like People Magazine are making retractions on that. Because you rehome a pet, you don't rehome your child. And adoption, again, is disrupted or it's dissolved, but it's not a rehoming of your child. She also claims that Huxley's new mommy is a medical professional. Well, she's a medical professional. She's a registered nurse. And then it's been said that he's not in a permanent home, that he's just in a foster home, and that new mommy may or may not be permanent. And she's acting like it's all roses and everything's fine. So why, why did they do this? And there is some sadness there when she talks about it. It's a lot of I, me, I, me. Is she upset because her sponsors are pulling out? Is she upset if the subscribers leave, if they lose their sponsorships, et cetera, that will curtail their lifestyle? They're living in a close to 6,000 square foot home. I think it's the third home they've purchased in a short time. There could be tears for that, right? Tears for maybe some backlash that could put an end to that income. And let's face it, if somebody was losing their job, if somebody's husband got laid off, if someone's wife got laid off, that would create stress and tears, right? Especially if that's your income and it's going to take your family's home away, their cars away, whatever. So yeah, it's understandable that you could see tears and upset there. But did she use that whole adoption as a means to grow a channel, a business, etc.? Now, there were families that adopted that she befriended, is what I'm told, and perhaps she saw significant growth. They did study algorithms and everything, like I said, on YouTube, and that's why you see a lot of the pregnancy videos. Is that why she comes on? Is that why a lot of these white couch bloggers and other bloggers talk about, oh, will there be another baby? Is it going to be a new house? Is our family complete? You see these same things, the pregnancy test live, because they get a lot of views. And so yes, they're very contrived. They're there for a reason. Those thumbnails are there for a reason. Now, I know that there was also talk about how they had several pets that had to find new homes, et cetera, and neighbors that have come out and spoken against them, so to say, saying that the voice she uses is not her real voice and she's not this perfect mother, and she farmed her kids out to her elderly neighbors so that they could go on date nights, all of that stuff. So, I mean, there's a lot there that we're going to discuss. And if you have any questions or some other stuff, you want to come on a panel one night, maybe we'll have an open panel to discuss this. If you're interested in that, let me know. I'm trying to think of what else I was going to just say about this, is that, oh yeah, there was one video I did see that she says something like, no one said this to me, but I just want to say it to you that I'm not doing this to look holier than thou, or, that I'm such a great person. Well, to me, that sounds like she was already on the defensive, maybe because she thought herself, her motives weren't right? And so she's coming out already to say that because she says that no one said that to her. So that raised some red flags for me. And I don't know, just some things she says, like about her husband not being open to it at first, and then she's going back and she's talking about how he came to her and he said, well, I'd like to learn a little more. And she's like, oh, I was so, happy because I could feel and so moved that he wanted to learn more, and he's softening to this, and I could feel the tears. It's weird to say I could feel the tears. You'd say, maybe my eyes started tearing up. I started to cry a little bit. I don't know, just seemed a little strange. But yeah, like I said, everything, even the pictures that were deleted, that were captured by some other source, very, very staged. And she, in her last video about Huxley, was going on and on about, you know, how good he was doing and how he was doing his chores and putting his clothes down the laundry chute, and how he finally learned how to open his blinds correctly, though sometimes he forgets and needs to be reminded. There's a very troubling photo that someone emailed me last night talking about, and a comment I saw about duct tape. There is duct tape all over the little boy's thumb. And someone said that so he doesn't suck his thumb, even though the little girls were sucking their thumbs. Now, I want to learn a little more about that because I was just sent the picture. I have to look into that a little bit. That is absolutely horrible if that was really the case, but why the heck else would he have all this duct tape on his thumb and hand? I know there is a duct tape home remedy for warts or something, but that doesn't look like that's what it was. And that is just really bad unless, you know, and also duct tape on the skin. I don't know if she had something on it, you know, that's really very harsh. Did he have an injury? And was he pulling at the gauze? And, you know, like, could there be another explanation? You know, a lot of times there are. So I'm not going to say anything about that because I haven't looked into it completely. If you know the whole story on that or where I can find the whole story, I know a lot of videos have been privatized or deleted. And so, you know, we'll have to see what that is. I know that there is supposedly an investigation going on. You know, where is the child, right? Where's the child? So people want to know that. I know people have gone into her comments. Certain comments are being deleted, but there are still some comments up there that, you know, say some stuff to them. I don't know. Tell me what you think, but that's what I have so far. Again, I've just started to look into this. I do want to bring you those other cases. I do want to bring it around. I'd love to have a panel where we come on and discuss. I know some of you are adoptive parents, so I'd love to have you on panel and talk about it, you know. Tell me if you're interested in that in the comments. Thanks for watching, guys. Sorry for the whole crazy format of this video and the rain and all that stuff, but I wanted to get this out there to you guys. Let's talk about it. Let's discuss it. Let me know in the comments. And of course, be live later tonight. Have a good one, guys. Stay dry if it's raining by you. And I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. God bless.